Very good morning to you. It is 7 a.m. on Tuesday, July 1st. Yes, July 1st, 2025. Welcome to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. The phone lines are open at 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. Partly cloudy this morning. Afternoon showers or thunderstorms. Some could be severe. Highs about 90. However, meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast. Where I am in the southern climes of South Florida, and we'll show
Mhm.
you when we come back. We have the beach cam. It's cooler. It's a little nicer and
Yeah.
comfortable because the way we celebrate summer in South Florida, it's practically chilly. We practically put on a sweater.
Sweater weather. Yeah, that nice. Well, no, it is the opposite here. We started off this morning very, very humid. Even some thunderstorms rolled through New Jersey early in the morning, late last night. Probably saw the bolts of lightning come through. They were reflecting off of the windows. We are at 80 degrees right now. That's how we start the day down in Millville and Cape May. Slightly cooler, 75 in Newark, but it's the heat and humidity that feels oh so humid. 7 degrees warmer than this time yesterday in Morristown. Slightly cooler in Toms River. That's only due to the wind that comes in through the course of the day. And dew points, or the temperature where the air is saturated, basically what you'd expect in South Florida. These are very, very humid numbers. Anytime they're over that 70-degree mark, it's downright tropical. Having enough rain last night and a little more rain this afternoon that there's a flood watch posted through some of these counties through central New Jersey for the expectation of some pretty heavy wet weather that'll come on through later on today. It's a slow moving system as the front kind of stalls out across New Jersey later on tonight. So you start this morning with some cloudy conditions, maybe a little break of sun down south, but it's the wind through this morning that turns very gusty, blowing from the south and southwest, that puts in some very warm weather across New Jersey and makes it very windy at the beaches. You may want to head out toward the waterfront for the first part of the day to enjoy some sun, but you're not going to find much sun after 3, 4 o'clock, because that's when the storms roll through. And with that, it stays very gusty throughout the overnight, with those storms not really finishing until tomorrow afternoon down the shore, because again, that front's not exactly moving through at a quick pace. So this morning, we start off warm, climb into the 90s. It's going to be hot yet again, humid this afternoon. That heat and humidity helps to spark off a storm. You see some right there working across the highways, Turnpike, 195. And then throughout this afternoon, widely scattered storms begin to appear, helping to bring down the temperature, but also help the humidity rise briefly before it cools off into tomorrow. Notice through 5 and 6 o'clock, those storms developing just in time for the evening rush. As temperatures fall, the humidity stays quite high, and the rain lingers through much of the overnight. We get bombarded with more rain and thunderstorms into tomorrow morning after 5, 6 a.m. Likely see that rain wrap up. So it's going to be another round of heavy wet weather today and tonight, not clearing out until tomorrow afternoon at the shore. We'll see some breaks of sun by late tomorrow morning up north, but it really takes till Thursday to clear out statewide. And look what happens to temperatures. We only climb into the 70s and low 80s on Thursday, maybe get to the low 90s, but it's going to feel much better with the lower level of humidity that takes us into the 4th. Even the Futurecast showing some 50s pop up. That'll feel lovely and refreshing on Friday morning. And then by the afternoon, climb into the low 80s, even at the beaches. So beautiful weather on the way for the holiday and the holiday weekend. It sticks around coming up right through the upcoming weekend after we get through the clouds and showers today and tomorrow, at least for the first half of the day across southern New Jersey. Thursday and Friday, clearing out beautifully, dropping that humidity and feeling fine with lots of sunshine, Ken, coming up for this weekend. We'll give you that weekend forecast in a few minutes with your next weather update.
All right, shall we take a look at beach cam? Let's take a
Yes,
look
let's
at
do
beach
it.
cam, Mike. So here's the difference again. There is beach cam at sunrise. You got some a little overcast. And one thing that when I first moved to Florida many, many years ago, and just for the record, I don't live here full time right now. I only live here part time. But when I first moved here many years ago, I didn't understand that the sunrise and sunset times are so different between South
Very
Florida and New
different.
York because of the
Uh-huh.
curvature of the earth and how much Florida sticks out or goes in based on the tilt of the earth and everything. So that the sunrises, you could have longer days down here or longer days in New York, I think, than
Up
down
north,
here,
yes.
depending
Right.
on the time of the year. Or up north, right? I always get it mixed up.
Yeah, well,
But
you're closer
so
to much
sunrise
closer
would
to
be
the equator. You're practically in the
right.
tropics, down there. So
Mhm.
that was just changed, actually. They added Miami to the tropical zone just a few years ago in the climate
I
database. But I think
didn't
our
know that.
forecast, yes, yes, happened 5, 6 years ago maybe, just because of the ongoing, the running 10-year cycles that climatologists keep track of. It's gotten hot enough down there to include it into tropical. No longer is South Florida subtropical. It is now full on tropicale.
Interesting. And it's funny you say that because if you look at the weather patterns in the state, and I'm sorry to dwell on this, everybody in New Jersey is saying we don't care about Florida, Ken, we're in New
No, they go
Jersey.
all
But just
the time. Are you
quickly,
kidding me?
for those who come here, it's the sixth borough, right? Like last night I was in Orlando, which people, I think a lot of people in the Northeast think, oh, you're in Florida. Like Jacksonville is right next to Miami. They're like 7 hours apart, but everybody thinks it's Florida is like Connecticut, you know? And I drove from Orlando to Fort Lauderdale last night. It's a full 3 hour drive if there's no traffic. And the entire way in between, deluge. The minute you got into what is called South Florida, which is like Palm Beach County South, dry as a bone. And it is so funny how that's literally the defined area that is the tropical zone. We had no rain, but Central Florida, because of the heat that they had, pouring. I mean, you couldn't see an
Yes.
inch in front of you. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
Mm-hmm.
every day I learn something from Mike Favetta. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
we're going to talk
I'm
about
not
the
kidding.
loop current next. The loop current, which helps the Gulf of Mexico waters warm up the east coast of Florida, there with the Gulf Stream, which is literally on your doorstep. It's about a mile offshore. So we'll get to that later on in the show.
Very good. And by the Gulf of America too, right? I'm kidding. I just
Yes,
had to
yes,
throw that in.
yes.
All right, Mike. Thank you very much, sir. We'll check back in a little bit. Once again, appreciate always getting that info from you. It is now 72 degrees in Trenton. In terms of traffic, we have a crash on the New Jersey Turnpike right now. It's Hudson County Extension eastbound outside exit for interchange 14, which is I-70 Newark. One left lane is blocked there. We have a crash and a jackknife tractor trailer on the Turnpike. Local lanes northbound south of exit 71 northbound, which is by Route 4. That's the upper part of the Turnpike. There's a vehicle on the right shoulder right now. All lanes are open though. That's the Leonia area, so that's not far from the approach to the GWB. We have an emergency. We have emergency construction. McLester Street northbound approaching Lyle King Street in Elizabeth. The left lane is closed, and we have roving repairs. A lot of that happening during the summer because the weather's good. So you have all these roving pothole and road crack repairs to get ready for the cold weather. And this is on Route 73 southbound from Jackson Road in Berlin to Central Avenue in Winslow Township. The right lane of the 4 lanes and the right shoulder are closed. The 8095 approach to the GWB right now, we take a look at it, and it is heavy. So that is very heavy for this hour of the morning. That's about a 40-minute delay into the across the Holland, or using the water crossings underwater. The Lincoln Tunnel right now is reporting only 25 minutes, and the Holland is only 20. 7:08 is our time, and the Jackson Police Department is seeking the public's help in identifying a suspect caught on a ring cam attempting to break into a home on Jackson Mills Road. The suspect was seen wearing a white shirt, navy Yankees cap, blue Nike shorts, and white sneakers with a distinctive jewel-encrusted ring on his right hand. He tried to open the front door using his shirt to avoid leaving fingerprints. Little he realized his face was perfectly seen on camera. Whoopsie. A white sedan was spotted nearby, but no license plate was visible. Hey, it is 2025. Everybody has a ring cam or some kind of a doorbell cam, dude. 37-year-old Mays Landing woman has pleaded guilty to theft and obstruction of justice. Alicia Campbell, formerly the lifestyle director at Greenbrier Ocean Air Community and Golf Course, admitted to misusing about $147,000 of the senior community's funds for personal purchases between 2019 and 2022. She also submitted forged medical documents, falsely claiming that her child needed cancer treatment to delay her court case. Campbell faces 6 years in prison for theft and 18 months for the obstruction charge. She must also repay stolen funds. 7:09, the New Jersey's, or I should say New Jersey's lawmakers did approve that $58.8 billion state budget last night, just hours before the midnight deadline. And the plan went right to the governor's office because before 11:59:59, the governor had to sign it into law or else the state would have shut down. And he did that. The plan signed by Governor Phil Murphy late last night, I like to call it that big ugly bill, includes lots of tax hikes on things like gambling, smoking, high-end real estate sales. Smokers will pay 30 cents more per pack, so it's now $3 a pack in state taxes alone. That doesn't count federal taxes, county, local municipal taxes, and any other fees. It's a very expensive, dirty habit. So think about it. I guess that's the whole point, right? I just don't like anything being taxed, even though I'm not into smoking, just for the record. While vapes, you people who vape all the time, you're going to get a similar increase because vaping, many studies are showing vaping is actually more dangerous in many cases than tobacco smoking. By the way, pot smoking, also very dangerous in a whole different way for brain and brain, not only promotion of cancers and things like that they're just now starting to discover, but also brain damage that smoking marijuana does. So, and it has nothing, even taking edibles, same thing. Don't believe me, Google it. Casinos will see sports betting and online gambling taxes rise to nearly 20%. High-end home sellers will face double to triple transfer fees. The budget preserves property tax relief programs, which a lot of people are happy about. Programs like Anchor and Senior Freeze, which my former neighbors just told me about, so that you don't have all the elderly people moving in their retirement to South Carolina or Florida. You get to save money by, at a certain cap point, you only pay, I think it's like $6,500 a year in your property taxes, depending on how much your property costs in taxes. But it's a really good deal, actually. It's one thing I may agree with the Democrats on, I'll admit that. It also funds it's called the Stay New Jersey program, but it does cut $100 million from state workers' health benefits, sparking criticism from some Democrats. But it was a little give to the Republicans to get it done. 7:12 right now. New Jersey's Attorney General Matt Platkin, I call him the socialist, blasted the state legislature yesterday for allocating $45 million in opioid settlement funds to major hospitals, calling it a betrayal of a pledge to use the money for evidence-based addiction solutions. See, Matt knows best. Matt knows the only ways that you could cure or prevent opioid addiction, and the hospitals seem not to know what the Attorney General, who has no medical training, knows. Platkin, who fought for years against opioid companies, said the funds are, quote, blood money meant to help those struggling, not paid state coffers. He warned of close scrutiny if the plan proceeds. Let me just point something out. Because of liberals like Matt Platkin, who assume that everybody who takes an opioid will automatically become addicted, which isn't necessarily the case. Things like codeine compound cough syrups, if you have a really bad cough, that's for many people the only thing that helps calm the cough. A lot of pharmacies don't even bother carrying it anymore because of liberals and the attack on opioid providers that many liberals like Matt Platkin has caused. So you can't get any opioid. Try going for surgery and coming out and getting an opioid to try to kill the pain. Many states are like saying, you know what, why even bother? Because there are so many federal lawsuits, and all because of liberals like Matt Platkin. Yes, do many people get addicted to opioids? Absolutely. Does everybody? No, Matt. No. It is 7:13 starting today. NJ Transit riders are facing a 3% fare increase across rail, light rail, and bus services, the first of annual hikes approved without public hearings. This follows a 15% increase last year. NJ Transit CEO Chris Kaluri said the funds will boost system reliability by modernizing aging equipment, including trains and buses from the 1970s. That's how old some of the stuff is, yet they keep charging you more and more money. High school voter registration week added 7,558 new voters aged 17 and 18. Yes, 17, because in Newark, you could vote in the school district, which is just obscene. That's a 15% jump from last year's 6,409. The New Jersey Civic Engage program, running from April 6th to May 20th, has been hailed as a success by Lieutenant Governor Tahisha Way, who emphasized the importance of youth engagement in strengthening democracy, because kids who are 16 who don't even have a say in whether they could stay out late at night should be able to judge how they're educated. This is all a liberal plot in order to persuade kids to vote a certain way and then have them come into the vote force, eventually being able to vote for everything and everyone at the age of 16. Crazy. And finally, Joe Giudice, or Giudice, depending on the day of the week, they pronounce it both ways. The former husband of Real Housewives of New Jersey star Teresa Giudice, or Giudice, is making a public plea for a presidential pardon. Convicted of bankruptcy fraud in 2014 and deported to Italy in 2019, Giudice has been living in the Bahamas since 2021. In recent Instagram posts, he shared family photos with his 4 daughters, tagging President Trump and Donald Trump Jr., begging for a chance to return to the U.S., saying, quote, "I served my time." Giudice wrote, quote, "All I want is to hug my daughters and be there for them." Well, they can visit him in the Bahamas. The thing is, to be fair and level and even, there are laws. We talk about what it is to be illegal in the United States. Just because you were a reality star, you lied, you were here illegally, and you broke the law. And if other people get sent out of the country for it, sorry, Joe, it is what it is. 7:15 right now. It's 72 degrees in Trenton. When we come back, Governor Murphy signs into law New Jersey's one big ugly bill, and it's a spending plan. Really ugly. We're going to speak with the head of the New Jersey Policy Institute and what it'll mean for all of us. We just talked about that story a moment ago. More details in a minute. Partly cloudy this morning. Afternoon showers or thunderstorms. Some could be severe, so be prepared for that. Highs around 90. The full Garden State forecast with meteorologist Mike Favetta when we return. You're watching On New Jersey Morning, stream daily at Roku, Fire TV, News on Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, Facebook, and X, and now streamed live on Rumble and Twitch. Just go to twitch.tv/OnNewJersey. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Well, hello there. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for your Tuesday at 7:15. The latest politics from Trenton with the inside edge in just a few. But first, partly cloudy this morning. Afternoon showers or thunderstorms. Some could be severe. Highs about 90. Meteorologist Mike Favetta, though, with the Garden State forecast for you. Good morning to you, Mike.
Good morning to you, Ken. Plenty of clear weather today until about 1 or 2 o'clock. Then the storms come in. So we get that sunshine that helps to heat up the atmosphere, make it very unstable, and then that'll spark off some potentially severe weather as the front pushes through, down through the beaches this afternoon. Keep an eye to the sky. The storm's coming from behind you if you're facing the water. 90 is your high in Point Pleasant, 92 in Toms River. Back north and west of the Turnpike from New Brunswick and Princeton, your storms happen a little bit earlier today, probably as soon as the lunchtime hour, 12:30, 1 o'clock, as that front pushes east. So here's all the unstable air. We had some storms come through last night, heard the rumbles of thunder, maybe saw the flashes of lightning, but this is the main line. Now behind that is beautifully dry and refreshing air that arrives just in time for the 4th. We have to make it through this, however. It is very muggy, very humid, and will feel quite uncomfortable going into the afternoon today. So the UV index still happens to be very high. It's up at a 9 until that point. You still need the sunscreen out and about, but you can even see last night some of those showers and storms coming through New Jersey with those shades of red embedded there and the rains. That lingers into this afternoon. Here is the dew point, or the temperature where the air is saturated. Very muggy, very humid, downright tropical in Flemington and there in Burlington County and going down south over toward Mount Holly. 61 by this evening, and tomorrow evening that'll start to dry out. Notice how they drop into the 50s, and this yellowy color shows how it's drier on the scale, indicating that, yeah, the cold front does its job and gets rid of a lot of the humidity, but it just takes about 2 or 3 days to really get to that refreshing feel, and it will feel beautiful by Friday morning. Waking up on Independence Day with a lovely, cool breeze, that'll be a nice change, refreshing by then. The futurecast showing most of the sunshine today breaking through the clouds, and then as we head to the early afternoon, you see the storms begin to pop up. Very isolated, similar to yesterday, that they pop up, could be potentially severe at times, and then as the main front pushes through this evening, that's where that rain comes in. But there's another round that comes in overnight again, potential for some ponding on the roads, maybe some minor flooding. And then as we head into tomorrow afternoon, the clearing occurs north to south throughout the course of the day and ultimately clearing out by the afternoon and late evening there down the shore. Thursday looks great to start. We begin nice and dry and sunny. Temperatures warm into the low 90s. It's still a touch humid, but I think the refreshing breeze with the reinforcing shot of dry air comes in for Friday. So we'll clear out the remainder of the clouds on Thursday afternoon, And then Friday's really pretty to start. We drop into the 50s up north, even the upper 60s there in the cities like Hackensack and Newark down the shore, starting off very pleasant. And that northwesterly breeze will feel awesome throughout Independence Day and even into the upcoming weekend. So beautiful weather ahead going into this weekend. Saturday starts off with a few clouds, but ultimately stays dry. I think Sunday more humidity builds, but we're also dry. Little to no threat of rain for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I think we'll be staying clear. And then into Tuesday and Wednesday, that's our next potential for an afternoon pop-up storm. What you'd expect for the first full week of July. Speaking of this weekend, as highs climb into the low 90s by Sunday, there's definitely a warmer side to the weekend. That'll be on Sunday. But overall, it turns more humid, feels like July, and it'll look great with the dry weather that's around. No rain forecast after Thursday. So very pleasant weather on the way, Ken. Great weather for the barbecues and all the grilling and all the parties and all the festivities and the fireworks too. That's important.
Why should July feel like July? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm just saying.
It's funny
The
because
funny thing
my
is,
nieces, my nieces, they have birthdays in March, May, and June. The March birthday, you'd expect it to be chilly, right? We're all inside. No, it was 95 degrees with high humidity. We're outside running around in the sprinklers, the kids at least. And then by the time we get to the May birthday, it was kind of cool and cloudy. The June birthday was the coldest of them all. It was like 65 and rainy. So odd.
of course.
So odd. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I would think that a meteorologist like yourself, sir, should be able to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Mother Nature, hey, Ma, listen," and just like have a little conversation. Not that you ever talked like that, but I'm just saying.
When I
Don't you have
get
the
really
inside edge like
agitated.
David Wildstein?
When I get the really agitated, it comes out.
Love it. All right. Same here, by the way. Same here. All right, Mike. Thank you very much. We'll check back with you, buddy. One thing we do have in terms of traffic right now, we do have an ugly crash. Let's take a look at it right now. This is on the Garden State Parkway, mile marker 148.5, north of exit 147. Take a look at that mess right now. And that is northbound by exit 147, the Clinton Avenue exit in East Orange. That left lane is blocked. And that's causing about a half a mile to a mile slowdown as you make your way into the Garden State in that area. We also have emergency construction on McClester Street northbound approaching Lyle King Street, and that is in Elizabeth. The left lane is closed. We have roving repairs on Route 73 southbound from Jackson Road in Berlin to Central Avenue in Winslow Township. The right lane and the right shoulder are closed. Also, take a look at the upper and lower levels of the approach to the GWB on the 8095 approach. Very, very heavy right now. This is entirely due to volume. We're now told the crossover time is 50 minutes. That is a lot for 7:23 in the morning. So that says a lot as well. The good news is you're a little bit better if you make your way to the Holland or Lincoln tunnels. The Lincoln right now, they're telling us, even though there are delays, they're saying it's 25 minutes in. And let's see what the Holland is reporting right now. The Holland is talking 20 minutes. So 25 at the Lincoln, 20 at the Holland, and a full 45 plus minutes at the GWB approach. On time is 7:23. New Jersey lawmakers did do the damage. They've approved that $58.8 billion behemoth state budget last night. It happened just moments before a potential government shutdown, which would have occurred if they hadn't signed that into law by midnight. The plan, which awaited Governor Phil Murphy's signature, they got it at the last second. It fully funds pensions and school aid, but it dips into reserves to cover a growing structural deficit. It also includes new taxes and controversial fund diversions. That's Democratic talk for we're going to line our pockets and take care of our cronies who basically helped us get elected. That's called a diversion. Joining us to break it down is Rosemary Becchi, president and founder of the New Jersey Policy Institute. First of all, good morning to you, Rosemary. Thanks for being with us today.
Good morning. It's great to be here.
I love liberal speak. When they spend money on pet projects that'll help them get reelected, they call it an investment. And when they want to take care of the cronies who got them elected, they call it a fund diversion. The other thing that I love, I'm going to write a whole dictionary, by the way, a whole translated dictionary. The other one of my favorites is how they said that in spite of the fact that we're raising taxes, we're going to end up with a $6.7 billion surplus, forgetting that we borrowed almost $5 billion to have that $6.7 billion surplus. So that would be like you and I borrow $1 million, putting us $1 million in the hole, but we tell everybody, hey, I got $1 million extra dollars. No, you're $1 million in debt. But that's just liberal speak. I'm sorry. We have to learn to live with it in the blue state.
No, and what's more ironic is, as New Jersey families, we have to balance our own budgets for our household. Why doesn't our state balance its budget, right? Why are we dipping into reserves? Why are we spending on the credit card in essence? And it's just unbelievable. And frankly, one of the more concerning things about this whole budget and budget process is there was zero transparency with this process. So we're going to learn gradually what's actually in this budget because nobody really knows.
Well, Nancy Pelosi told us years ago the Democratic plan is we have to pass the plan in order to see what's in it. That's the way liberals govern. They shove pork, inches and inches of pork, thousands of pages at the last second. Let's just tack on another $750 million in spending for pet projects for our cronies so that we'll get a $10,000 donation from Joey Gallucci over there when I'm running for re-election for the assembly. That's the way it works. And you and I are stuck with the bill for generations. Yep. I'm right now in the state of Florida. And in the state of Florida, which is like double or triple the population of New Jersey, they have no state income tax, lower fees for everything, yet the police and fire departments, they get paid. Everybody's paid. There are no volunteers here. Everybody's paid. The fire departments are paid, the ambulances are paid, and they make six figures, seven figures, not seven figures, excuse me, 5 figures, 6 figures. So it's all like upper 80s, low 90s to start. The police get paid more here than in New Jersey. So I don't want to hear, oh, they don't get paid down there. They do. Yet they don't have ridiculous state budgets like this. Why is it that a state like Florida is able to do it, but a state like New Jersey doesn't? There's only one answer, and let's just say what it is. It's fraud and abuse.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. And if you think about where we've been in New Jersey, especially with the Murphy administration, this budget over the last 8 years has grown by $25 billion. That's insane. I mean, the fact that we are well over 58 billion at this point is ridiculous, and it's wasteful spending. And as you pointed out, there's so much fraud, waste, and abuse in these programs, and we need to clean it up. We really do. We need to clean it up.
Well, I appreciate that you are on it like a hawk. Talk about some of these specific deals and programs that really have you concerned in this new budget.
So what first and foremost is the new taxes, right? Like we've got taxes on online gambling, and even more importantly, we've got taxes and high taxes on transfers of property. And so that's really concerning. That's going to hurt our real estate industry. And frankly, it's going to deter people from coming to our state. If they have to worry about when they go to sell their house, that there's all sorts of transfer taxes, you're really going to put the kibosh on real estate transfers. So those are a couple things that really worry us.
I'm sorry, Rosemary, you have to refer to my new Democrat dictionary, page 226. It's the millionaire's real estate tax. See? So it's for $1 million properties. Oh, wait a second. Almost every house in New Jersey is worth $1 million today. I forgot about that. I used to live in North Caldwell, and right next door, now North Caldwell is a tiny little enclave, 7,000 people, every house was like over $1 million. Right next door in West Caldwell, if you wanted to be right next to North Caldwell, you could always get a bargain. Oh, we got a $700,000 beautiful home in West Caldwell. It's a great community. You can't find a house for under $1 million in West Caldwell, and that's considered middle class. It's not considered wealthy. So that means everybody's going to have to pay a $10,000 surcharge to sell their house. $10,000. You got an extra 10 grand in your pocket burning a hole? Give it to me.
No, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Again, we've got to elect in this state a governor that's going to get serious about lowering spending and lowering taxes, because we are continuing to be ranked last in every category. Last for places to do business, highest property taxes, highest income taxes, highest corporate taxes, and we've really got to get this under control.
Well, let's talk about the quote unquote diversion. That's my new favorite word of the day, the diversion. They love the word diversity and diversion. This is another Democrat keyword. So they diverted funds from the Clean Energy Fund, which, by the way, that's what cost us a fortune. The reason why our electric bills have skyrocketed 2 times, 2 years in a row, by the huge amounts that they did because of the waste of trying to have green energy, which fell through. Green energy isn't working. You can't build solar panels all over New Jersey. In the state of Florida, they don't even do it. And in the state of New Jersey, you can't do it because 90% of the year there isn't enough sun. And the windmills, where are the windmills? Sorry, Governor, where are those windmills you promised us? So they shut down 6 power plants, and yet they didn't create the green, clean plants. So now, what about the diversion of the Clean Energy Fund and the opioid settlement money? How do these decisions impact New Jersey's long-term priorities?
It absolutely impacts us because you're just robbing Peter to pay Paul. And ultimately, those monies need to be replenished. And it is so concerning. And you pointed to energy. Energy in this state is so outrageously expensive, and we've made such poor decisions. The governor has his master plan that he's insisted upon, and all it's done is drive up energy costs. And, actually, we're super excited because we are going to start to have conversations about it. Our own very own Jeanette Hoffman will be hosting a show on ONNJ to talk about energy costs and energy in the state of New Jersey.
Well, we're going to have her on this morning, as a matter of fact, to promote it. I know that new show is going to be on
Perfect.
debuting tonight at 6 p.m. So I'll be watching, and I'm sure you will as well. And we're serious about this. We're tired of the status quo. And quite honestly, the only station other than us that ever really dealt with this stuff was PBS, and PBS was so far to the left and in the hole with the liberals in Trenton. They just let this stuff happen. I used to get a kick out of watching, this is not to criticize another station, but I used to get a kick out of watching, literally, they would sit there with all the Democrat Assembly and Senate members, and whatever they wanted, they were never challenged on any of their moves. It was just like, as much as you want to raise taxes, as much as you want to spend, go for it. And nobody ever questioned them like me about how a state like Florida could do it for 40% less money. Meanwhile, they have double the population and everybody gets paid more. Crime is lower and education is higher. Go figure how that happens. Rosemary, I'm sorry that I took over so much of the conversation, agreeing with you on everything. You and I could go out for dinner sometime and probably talk for 6 hours. We agree on so much. Rosemary Becchi, president and founder of the New Jersey, yes, I adore you, New Jersey Policy Institute. Rosemary Becchi putting her money where her mouth is and always being up on the topics. Thank you for joining us this morning. I could have you on every day if you're willing. You come. I love you when you're on.
Thanks for having me. I love being here.
Oh, you're awesome. Enjoy the day. Thanks for doing what you do. You're really doing yeoman's work. Appreciate you. All right. It is 72 degrees right now. And when we come back, ever look at your yard and think a deck would go great right over there? Right there, I need a deck. We're going to speak with a New Jersey carpenter who just wrote the ultimate book for deck building. Partly cloudy this morning, afternoon showers, a thunderstorm. Some could be severe. Highs about 90. The full Garden State forecast in just a moment. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Hoffman, host of Energy Matters. Join me every night at 6 p.m. where we're discussing energy affordability, challenges, and solutions with stakeholders and elected officials. Join me weekdays at 6 p.m. on Energy Matters on ONNJ.
Good morning. It is 72 degrees on your Tuesday morning, July 1st. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. Phone lines open at 888-658-0234. Partly cloudy this morning. Showers or thunderstorms in the afternoon, and some of those storms could be severe. Highs about 90. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
It's a good day for deck building, isn't it? I can't wait to hear about this new author because we're putting a deck in. So this is exciting. Yeah. Got to get some ideas before we finalize plans. All right. That coming up in a moment. Can't wait for that. Hey, Ken, we've got some storms on the way for this afternoon, especially if you live in the northern part of the state. You may see the storms arrive as soon as the midday. Then as we head into this evening, potential for some minor flooding and strong gusty winds, as some of the storms could become severe with those winds in excess of 58 miles per hour. And then it turns sunny and much drier for tomorrow. So already looking at the brighter side of things. Lots of clouds statewide this morning. There will be some breaks of sun early on down south of Atlantic City. You're running clear right now, but not for long. In fact, there's a flood watch posted for many of these counties shaded in green due to the expectation of some pretty heavy wet weather later on this afternoon. Notice how the temperatures begin to climb this afternoon throughout the low 80s there through Atlantic City and Ocean City, probably getting into the upper 80s out toward places like Egg Harbor City. But Hamilton, Glassboro, west of the Parkway, will get to the low 90s. And with that threat of severe weather, temperatures begin to climb and then fall rapidly after the storms push through. Sunset nice and late tonight at 8:32, bringing back the clear weather for tomorrow. Today it's going to be starting off as cloudy again. Sun if you're south of the Atlantic City Expressway, but clearing, I think, takes over into this afternoon yet again. Late morning, early afternoon, you get just a few hours at the beach to enjoy that 76-degree water temperature with your high tides happening earlier this morning. So the beach forecast points to another hot and humid day. Water temperature of 71 degrees that is warming nicely, and with a surf of only 2 feet. You say, well, why is the rip current risk moderate for all of the shore points? The reason, that southerly wind and that southeasterly breeze helps to make those waves a little bit stronger and promote a higher risk of rip currents. That's why on the Long Island beaches, it's a high risk because all of the winds coming from the south today. So throughout this afternoon, there's a slight risk of severe weather. That's level 2 on the scale. Same for you in the wind category. Could see that strong gusty wind later on this afternoon with the embedded thunderstorms. Now, as the front pushes through this afternoon, notice it slides on by and then kind of gets stuck over New Jersey later on into tonight and early tomorrow morning. That's why there's that flooding risk. So the rain will just be dumping on portions of central New Jersey. And we don't really see the clouds clear out at the beaches until the end of the day tomorrow. So it'll be fine in northern New Jersey most of tomorrow morning with clear weather, but really have to wait till Thursday to see the full clearing. And then Friday looks beautiful with the high pressure in control. Look at that, sitting right on top of us. We start off the weekend beautiful and great weather for fireworks as well. No threat of rain or any bad weather. Even with the comfortable level of humidity, it'll feel nice too. 7-day forecast has plenty of sunshine around for tomorrow as well as Friday. 84 degrees, a little drop in temperatures, but a big drop in humidity, which makes it feel quite nice. Humidity doesn't stay at bay for very long, though, because come Saturday and Sunday, we see temperatures start to increase. Humidity comes back in, and then by Monday, I think we're back up at 90. The week down the shore looks wet through tomorrow, but we clear out for Thursday. Looks very pleasant, highs up around 90, cooling off a little bit with less humidity by Friday, and we start off the week very pleasant as well with a solid stretch of at least 4 days of sunshine and no rain. Excellent weather for Independence Day weekend, excellent weather for the beaches, barbecues, grilling, all the fun stuff, and yes, deck building too, or deck planning, at least in my case. Ken, we'll take another check of your forecasts coming up.
Well, hey, deck the halls. You know what I'm talking about over here? All right.
Christmas in July.
It's July 1st. You know, it'll be here before you know it. We'll be talking about it, and we'll say, remember back on July 1st? You watch.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. Thank you very much, sir. We will bring on our guy in just about 30 seconds. Just a quick traffic report. This is still that ongoing crash we have on the Garden State Parkway. This is mile marker 148.5 north. It's at 147. This crash has been there about 35 minutes now by Clinton Avenue in East Orange. That left lane is blocked. You can see the tow truck there on the scene trying to clear all that out. Hopefully that'll all be cleared away within the next few minutes. I think it's pretty much set to go. They're going to be moving everything out pretty soon. Don't think there's any kind of investigation there going on. So we'll see what happens. We'll be on top of that. We also have let's see, that's the same crash. They have it reported twice here on. Let's move to the next one. We have a emergency construction on McClester Street northbound approaching Lyle King Street in Elizabeth. One left lane is closed. And we have roving repairs on Route 73 right now, northbound from Jackson Road in Berlin to Central Avenue in Winslow Township. One right lane and the right shoulder are closed. The Lincoln Tunnel right now is a 25-minute delay into Manhattan, 20 minutes at the Holland. Take a look at the GWB. This one's heavy. This is 50 minutes. Upper and lower level approaches 8095 right now. The upper is on the right, the lower is on the left, and that is darn right heavy, making your way into Manhattan at this hour, 7:40 in the morning. So fingers crossed, give yourself some extra travel time if you're headed in. 7:40 is our time. Sean McAleer is a third-generation carpenter from here in New Jersey and the visionary behind Deck Rebellion, Revolutionary Concepts for Outdoor Living. The new book showcases how decks have evolved from simple add-ons to vibrant living spaces. And Sean joins us now. Good morning, Sean. Thanks for coming on today.
Good morning, Ken. How you doing?
I'm great. Listen, I don't know a person who doesn't love a deck. A deck is amazing. And it's awesome how you could take like dirty, patchy grass in the backyard, and once you build that neat, consistent deck to spread out your space, it makes it feel like you've doubled your living area. What inspired your passion for deck construction, and how did your journey as a third-generation carpenter shape your approach to this very unique craft?
Well, Ken, I grew up here in New Jersey, so this was my world growing up and learning and building around here. But traveling around the world, I mean, the rest of the cultures in the world, a lot of the older cultures in Europe and even Southeast Asia, outdoor living is bred into the culture. A lot of outdoor spaces, beautiful outdoor spaces. I mean, the health benefits of being outside, just enjoying family and space. That's where a lot of the gatherings really happened outside. So that's really impacted me. I was just actually in Netherlands with one of our vendors. We go out to all the different vendors, and the stuff that they do there, it's just, the design stuff is just amazing. So it's great. And you guys brought up the holiday coming up, the holiday big party. It's going to take place on the decks, and a lot of the decks that we do, we cover them, and covering changes that space. So now, especially where we live, you have a space that you can use 10 months a year, no rain days. So if it's a bit dodgy on the holidays, if you don't have a covered space, you're kind of in the lurch there.
So let's talk about that. Two things that you just mentioned that I before we talk more about your book, Deck Rebellion. The first thing that I'd like to mention in what you just talked about is when you build a deck, the space underneath, if you have sloped land, too many people turn that into like storage, and that's a wasted opportunity. So let's first hit that. What do you do with all that space underneath? You build an outdoor kitchen. What do you do with that space to make it great alternate living, or maybe even storage space? What do you use that for?
Well, the first thing people need to do, especially if they're building new or rebuilding, you have to purpose build it. If you see a lot of the stuff that I have in my book, all those beams and posts that are all over the place under a traditional deck, they're all recessed up in the ceiling. So it's built more like a house would be. You don't have posts all over the place. You don't have exposed beams down below the level of the floor. It's all recessed in. And that's where a lot of people make mistakes. They'll build a deck and think, oh yeah, we'll finish underneath later. But it really starts with the planning and construction phase, because if you don't do that, finishing it later, I've had people come to me and say, yeah, we want to finish underneath the deck and spend all this money because it's great. It's off the pool. It'll be great. I agree. It's going to be great. But you have so many posts and beams underneath there, you don't even have a place to put a table when it's finished. So thinking in advance to finish that space, even if it's a phase 2 or 3, is really important.
Yeah. That's essential. And there's some amazing outdoor spaces in the town I used to live in, North Caldwell. It's like it's a contest to see who has a better deck. It's fantastic. So now
we have about award-winning, national award winners in that town.
It's a great town. It really is a fabulous town. How do you push the boundaries of traditional deck concepts?
Well, I'm blessed with, I grew up building. So putting stuff together, my dad's old school carpenter from Ireland, and my grandfather came over here and built and went back and bought a farm. And then my father followed in his footsteps and came over here and built and worked in New York City, building phenomenal cabinetry and woodworking. And I learned from him how to put stuff together. And then I have a background of home building. So when I got the chance to design my own stuff, I wasn't limited by, doors and windows on the back of the deck or something. I could just take it out, lower the grade, change roof lines. I can do all of that stuff. And then it was a matter of finding materials, because when I first started this, I was a painter with two colors on my palette. There was pressure treated and crappy PVC decking. Not PVC, composite decking. And then you had, occasionally redwood, or maybe you got lucky and got cedar there for a while, but cedar's not a good thing outside. But now there's so many different options for homeowners and for people building decks. It's a full spectrum of color. There's so many different outdoor products that you can use to build a deck, because now decks aren't build them for 20 years, tear them down and rebuild them. Now it's a lifetime. It's the same as your house, because it's a big, big investment. So it's something that has to be done right the first time, and it should last for as long as you own the home.
And that is such a property value booster when you come and see that, because it really does extend the living area of your home. One of my homes, I had a deck. We spent the entire season from, I'd say, May through September. We were always outside. We ate dinner every night on the deck. We had a nice canopy that we could extend. And even if it rained, we were outside. It's the best thing ever. What's a website for people to buy the book or learn more about you?
So, of course, it's on Amazon, but if they go to deckremodelers.com, they can see a lot of the pictures, thousands of pictures of projects we've done, and you can get the book right through there. And I'll do for your listeners, put a little note in, I'll do a signed copy for them.
I love it. And you have to get in touch with our meteorologist, Mike Favetta, because he's building a deck right now. So he needs your help. So we'll put you guys together.
Absolutely.
That'd be awesome.
Absolutely. Mike, give a call.
See that? Call. All right. Third generation carpenter, the visionary behind Deck Rebellion, revolutionary concepts for outdoor living. Get the book. It's available now on Amazon. Sean McAleer, thank you for joining us this morning. Come back again. We loved having you on.
Have a great holiday, everybody. Thanks, Ken. I really appreciate it.
You too. Happy Independence Day. It is 7:47. When we come back, Erik, the travel guy Hastings, joins us to talk about a southern destination that's getting a lot of traffic this summer. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. We'll be right back. And welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for your Tuesday, 7:47 right now. It is 72 degrees in Trenton, partly cloudy this morning, showers or thunderstorms, some severe, highs around 90 for the afternoon. Meteorologist Mike Favetta, who's going to get a brand new deck with the Garden State forecast for you. Mike, you got to call him. He'll get you hooked up.
Those photos, oh my goodness, it's like deck porn. Incredible. So cool what you can do. It's so cool what you can do with some wood and a deck. Incredible, incredible thing. So really, really nice design. I'm looking forward to it. Come on. Looking forward to it. Oh. We've got some great weather for maybe outdoors the next few days after we get through, of course, the storms today. Now, there could be some severe storms working through northern New Jersey that arrive after 2 and 3 o'clock. Temperatures will warm into the low 90s before then, so very warm even back over towards Sussex County, Newton, Hackettstown, the western end of Morris County into Warren County, Washington Township. Your highs today falling after those storms push through. Now, with that, we have the air quality, which improves after today, but we're still in that moderate level. You see here on the scale, we'll go back to good, I think, by tomorrow after the front passes. But right along the turnpike, most of that air quality poorer today, just due still to the very humid air, the very stagnant air. The overall AQI is above 50. So throughout this afternoon into tomorrow, it's warm, it's humid, but into the next 2 weeks, we're actually average heat for July. A lot of the extreme heat is down toward Texas and Florida and even over toward the Northwest, in the Pacific Northwest. Our weather for New Jersey in through the next 2 weeks, precipitation-wise, we'll likely see slightly above average rainfall, but it's not expected to be too much. So we'll get our rain out of the way by tomorrow. Back to sunshine on Thursday. Friday for the 4th looks amazing. 84 and sunny with low humidity. We warm it back up slowly throughout Saturday and Sunday and keep it in the 90s into early next week. So there could be another heat wave on the way, especially when we just make heat wave criteria. Not expecting to be too hot and humid, but next week we'll be starting off quite warm. So enjoy the cool down and the lower humidity by Thursday and Friday. It'll feel fantastic. Heat and humidity return even for you at the beaches by this weekend, especially for Sunday, and then Monday climbing back into the upper 80s. So warm weather on the way after a nice cool down and a refreshing break from all the heat and humidity that comes back to New Jersey for the 4th.
All right. Thank you very much. Deck porn. You absolutely made me lose it. I had coffee. I even thought about it after the fact. It almost came out my nose. You're hilarious. Thank
You got to
you
look
very
at the
much,
photos.
Mike.
I mean, they speak for themselves. They really do.
You're
I
right.
can see why he
You
wins
nailed it. That's why it
awards.
was so funny.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
nailed it. You totally nailed it. All right, Mike. Thank you very much, sir. It's 7:50 right now. Let's take a look at some traffic. We still have that the area where we had a crash a little while ago. They cleared the crash, but there is residual heaviness in traffic. It's better. Actually, 30 seconds ago, it looked a lot worse than it is now. But that's you always get that residual delay. So hopefully the next time we check in, that'll be 100%. But that's just heavy volume at this point. Notice that there's overcast in the skies right now. That helps traffic in the morning because people don't get the glare in their eyes. So we're not seeing a whole hell of a lot of traffic. It's just volume, but it's moving. We have emergency construction, McLester Street northbound, approaching Lyle King Street and Elizabeth with the left lane closed. Disabled vehicle 678 southbound between exit C and exit B in New York. One left lane block that's right over the border from New Jersey. And roving repairs Route 73 southbound, Jackson Road, Berlin to Central Avenue, Winslow. A right lane and right shoulder are closed. 8095 approach to the GWB, 45 to 50 minutes making your way in right now. Just a lot of volume. It's a little better at the Lincoln with 30 minutes and 25 at the Holland. 751, Tennessee is known as the Volunteer State, and it's famous for the birth of country music, home to America's most visited national park, and is saturated with Civil War and civil rights history. With so many things to see and do there, it could be hard to know where to start. To help us figure it all out is our own Erik the Travel Guy Hastings, whose website, erikthetravelguy.com, that's Erik with a K, always lists the best travel tips, and his PBS video series too, Beyond Your Backyard, can be seen on YouTube as well. Erik, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning. Good to see you. It's another glorious day here in the world of travel.
Yes. Well, Erik and I were together last night. Erik runs a great show, a dinner theater murder mystery show in beautiful Orlando, and he hosted me there. Let me just tell you, congratulations. This thing is awesome. It was fun. It's just a great way to take some time with the family and get away and have a good time. Tell us the name. Tell us how people can get tickets to that, because if you're in the Orlando area or anywhere else, and you should fly here, tell us about that show.
Ken, you're like a super fan to this show. I love it. Like
I
I've seen the
am.
show 75 times. I love it. But you love talking about the show. Well, it's called The Speakeasy Murder. We're supposed to be talking about travel, but in this show, it is an interactive murder mystery dinner show. We go back to talk about travel. We do a little time travel back to 1928. And yes, somebody at the end of the show is going swimming with the fishes. Somebody else is going to the big house, Ken.
It's fun. You make it so much fun there, and the audience makes the decision, right? Ultimately decides who the killer is, which is fun. You
Exactly right.
got good food there. And yes, I still think that is still travel, because for someone from New Jersey, Orlando is travel. And when you're in Orlando, you got a bunch of amusement parks, theme parks to go to. And then in the evening, you could go to that show, go to the dinner theater and check out Erik's show. So it's a good deal. So
No,
let's
you're very
shift gears a little bit if we can. But it's the truth, and I am so proud of you for putting that together. It's really fun. Tennessee, right there in the middle of the South. It is drivable if you really want to drive it. Easy flight, lots of flights in and out. Why is it getting such buzz right now?
Well, I think people are always looking for the next greatest thing, right? They're always looking for, I want to go someplace I haven't been. You know, when you say things like, well, you go to Jamaica, people go, oh my gosh, Jamaica, that's going to be amazing. Their expectation of Jamaica, or their expectation of Turks and Caicos or Alaska or Hawaii. Their expectations way up here, right? They're like, oh my gosh, I had such a great time in Hawaii. They come back and they blather on about the birds and the volcanoes and the ocean water and the so and so. Well, places like Tennessee in this very country of ours, they're really. It's so cliche to say they're the hidden gems, but because they're not hidden, they're the 16th state admitted to the union. They've been around a long time here, and so people come back from Tennessee and they go, "Oh my gosh, Ken, it was amazing," because they don't know what to expect in a place like Tennessee. And what they find is that it is an actual slice of Americana on so many levels. As you mentioned, right off the bat, you're talking about real Civil War history here. People don't realize how long Tennessee is. They think Pennsylvania, America's big first state, or America's first big state. That's what I meant to say. Oh, it's a little early. But Tennessee is also very long. So you go from Memphis, which has a completely different feel in the would be the southwest part of the state, all the way over to the other side, where you have things like Tri-Cities, the birthplace of country music, where you can go to Bristol and you can put 1 foot in Virginia and 1 foot in Tennessee. It's a great picture. Geico did a series of commercials there. So again, Tennessee is one of those states that people come back and they go, we had an amazing time. We didn't know what to expect and had a great time.
Yeah, and it's really affordable, no state income tax for those who maybe want to retire there. And you have sports, a lot of sports in Tennessee now, major sports leagues. It's just a fun place. I mean, when I was not thinking Tennessee for travel, you have, I always right away thought of Nashville and Memphis, but you have Knoxville, you have Pigeon Forge, where you have Dollywood. You have, what are some of the others? Pam, you tell me, because Pam, our director, has been there a whole bunch of times and loves the Nashville Predators. She's a big Nashville Predators fan. It's worth the trip
Chattanooga.
just for them.
Chattanooga.
Chattanooga, of course. I mean, and you go see the Chattanooga Choo Choo. There is so much to see in Tennessee, and I love the fact, as you pointed out, how wide it is. It's like 5-6 hours to get from one edge to the other. But if you're not into flying, or you have a big brood of children and you don't want to pay for 12 tickets, you could pile everybody in the old station wagon or the minivan, and you could drive it. It's actually drivable. So that's another beautiful part, especially at a time when people are concerned with everything that happened overseas with Iran, everything else. You can enjoy our own country.
Yeah, that's very true. And people are surprised. I used to make that drive from New Jersey down to Tennessee to Knoxville, and I can't remember the number of hours, but you think, oh my gosh, well, you have 2 drivers. You could do 11 hours. You could do 10 hours in the car with 2 drivers in a single day without too much headache. And so it's accessible, but it's got major air gateways as well. So it's not like, you could fly into Nashville on Southwest, a big hub, Nashville, big hub for Southwest, or fly into Memphis, or fly into the Tri-Cities, fly to Chattanooga. So you've got all these options. I think that's one of the reasons that Tennessee does so well in tourism. It's a very accessible state. And remember, 2/3 of the population lives east of the Mississippi River.
Mm-hmm. I just looked it up. It's between 10 and 12 hours to drive, depending on what part of the state you're going to, say from New Jersey, any part of New Jersey. So it is doable. I mean, I've driven to Florida many times, and Florida is 19 hours to get from New Jersey to Fort Lauderdale. So, and I've driven straight through. It is a doable thing if you like long drives, and I kind of do. Is there a specific city that you love most in the state of Tennessee?
Well, I'm a good sucker for a college town, and the reason I love, the older I get, year after year, I love the energy of younger people. I love their enthusiasm. I love their excitement. If you've never been to a Tennessee Vols game there in Knoxville, it's just incredible. But that's not to say that's certainly not a unique value proposition. But I'd say definitely hit Knoxville. It's one of those places where you're like, wow, what am I going to do there? There's plenty to do there. I'm also a big fan of Nashville. But again, people have problems with Nashville because it's growing and the population is exploding and the infrastructure is they're trying to catch up with all of these new residents. So you really can't go wrong with those 2 spots, but still my favorite. And I know this is a little controversial because some cynics out there are going to say, come on now. If you haven't been to Pigeon Forge, If you haven't
Hmm.
been to the Great Smoky Mountains, now look, Ken, you and I both know I am a nature light kind of fella. Okay, like I'm not hiking unless there's a bar and grill at the end of that hike. I'm not going. Okay, like the worst part about a hike is you just have to turn around and come back. Like what? There's no helicopter comes and picks us up. No. Anyway, but it is so beautiful. It rivals Yosemite. If you've been to Yosemite, if you've been to Yellowstone, and you go to the Great Smoky Mountains, the most visited, as you said, the most visited national park in the United States for a reason. Go to Dollywood. You'll never find a cleaner theme park in the world than Dollywood.
And a lot of people love the food. I've read more online and heard more from people who just rave about the food at Dollywood. It's just awesome that was one of her. Dolly Parton was so picky, and she made her husband test every dish. And he would make, poor man just died in the last year, but he would make site visits, just sneak in and not tell people who he was. And he would sample
Yeah.
the food and check to make sure that the service was good. And then he would report back to
Well,
Dolly. I
okay. I'm
love
sorry. Now that I mention it, I'm sorry. I must say this because it's like here's something you didn't know. Where do you think the largest collection of authentic Titanic artifacts is held? Do you think it's in Las Vegas? Do you think it's in Southampton? No, it's in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. It's at the Titanic Museum, the largest collection in the world. You have to go there in order to see it. If you're a Titanic person, that's that's on your must top of the list.
I love that. Yet another reason to go. And check out Erik Hastings' website, erikthetravelguy.com. That's Erik with a K. My friend Erik Hastings, it was so fun last night. Thanks again for hosting me at the dinner theater, for wonderful dinner, and more importantly, good time with you. And thank you so much, sir, as always, for coming on this morning.
Likewise, my friend.
All right. All the best, Erik. Thank you, buddy. 8:01's our time. And when we come back, we got lots more news. And we're going to be talking to somebody about a special new show we have coming on tonight at 6 p.m. on New Jersey. Stay tuned for that. Partly cloudy this morning. Afternoon showers or thunderstorms. Some could be severe. Highs about 90. The full Garden State forecast when we return. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings, and we'll be back in 30 seconds. Two 8:02 is our time. Tuesday, July 1st. Where did June go? Hey, June, get over here. What do you mean? What do you mean you're done? What are you going to do? June doesn't listen to me. Welcome to On New Jersey Mornings, or welcome back. I'm Ken Rosato. The phone lines are open at 888-658-0234. If you had to hear my voice, you would leave too. Well, I guess you can hear my voice. I got to think about that. Partly cloudy this morning. Afternoon showers or thunderstorms. Some could be severe. Highs around 90. Meteorologist Mike Favetta. As we go to you, is there a chance, Pam, could you also bring up beach cam as we go to Mike? I don't know if we could do that. I think beach cam is appropriate. There you go. Because I see we're bringing Mike's camera up too. So in the meantime, we're down in the Southern Command in Fort Lauderdale right now. So let's take a look at that for another second. The temperature, by the way, is the same in Fort Lauderdale as it is in New Jersey. Think about that. All right, meteorologist Mike Favetta has the full Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Thanks, Ken. Good morning, everyone. We start our day with a little bit of wet weather, had some thunderstorms roll through, and that will keep a flood watch in place for many counties here, shaded in that light colored green across central New Jersey. With those rains that gave us some thunder and lightning overnight, you probably were waking up out of bed because of that. It was pretty bright and pretty loud. Our forecast keeps the storms in the forecast today, especially with that southerly breeze blowing in. That helps to energize the front that moves in from the west through this afternoon. You see right across 195, some of these thunderstorms bubbling up by 1 or 2 o'clock. And then the rest of northern New Jersey sees those storms develop closer to 3 and 4 o'clock, even down the shore at that time. This afternoon, temperatures reach the low 90s, so it will be very warm, very humid, that sun working in to help strengthen those storms through this evening. And even as they cross into the parkway and places down the shore through 9 o'clock tonight, certainly will be quite intense borderline severe with those gusts in excess of 58 miles per hour. Even through early tomorrow morning, still some downpours likely. Have to wait until later on in the morning, likely 9 or 10 a.m. for the first clearing to take over. And notice what happens there. Temperatures dropping into the low 80s and staying there, even as the remaining clouds and showers work their way through. By later tomorrow night, we'll be down in the 70s. Then we get to breathe that breath of fresh air, lovely levels of humidity, nice and dry and warm for Thursday, and stays pretty dry as well for the 4th. On Friday, even the futurecast showing the lingering showers that may come through, a lot of them dissipating with the secondary front on Thursday. Starting off our day at 56 degrees. That'll feel lovely on the 4th. Nice and cool. 68 in Mount Holly, 70 in Ship Bottom. A refreshing breeze takes over. And then, of course, we warm into the afternoon with temperatures that will climb into the low and mid 80s on the 4th. So very pleasant weather on the way. Not nearly as hot and humid for the end of the week. A nice way to kick off the holiday weekend. So it stays that way going throughout Friday into Saturday and Sunday. I think we'll see a little uptick in humidity, but as we head into the weekend, you may notice a few clouds return as well. We'll detail that coming up with a check of your weekend forecast in your next weather update.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike. Appreciate that. 72 degrees right now in Trenton. Let's take a look at this ugliness. This is on the I-95 when you come into New Jersey from New York. This is I-95 South. This is by, I guess in the area of interchange 14. Well, this is actually before the interchanges. This is actually as you're approaching the 95-80 split. So you can see that overpass right there. So you're in the area of Leonia, that kind of that area. I don't know what's causing that delay, but look at this. It must be a broken down vehicle or an accident. It's not being reported yet, but we're catching that, and that is just an ugly mass of traffic right now, bumper to bumper as you're making your way there in the car and truck lanes, as opposed to just the smaller vehicle lanes on the right. So just be aware of that as you're coming in. If you're coming in from New York City into New Jersey, heading southbound on 95 or westbound on I-80 as it is, because that's the merge right there. That's what you have to look forward to. We have emergency construction, McLester Street northbound approaching Lyle King Street in Elizabeth with one left lane closed, and roving repairs on Route 73 southbound from Jackson Road in Berlin to Central Avenue, Winslow Township. The right lane of the 4 lanes and the right shoulder both closed at this point. The Hudson River crossings right now, 30 minutes at the Lincoln, 25 at the Holland, and you have a full 45 minutes on the GWB. The upper level is on the right and the lower level is on the left. So this is in the opposite direction of what you were just looking at a moment ago. And this looks like it's moving better than that southbound traffic was. But you could see things are moving a little better than they were about half an hour ago, and that is some good news. 8:07 is our time right now. And we have some critical energy issues, of course, facing our state. On New Jersey's brand new public affairs series, Energy Matters, hosted by veteran public affairs strategist Jeanette Hoffman, premieres tonight at 6 p.m. right here on New Jersey. The show is sponsored by the New Jersey Policy Institute. It promises to tackle everything from skyrocketing electric bills, and don't we have those, to innovative energy solutions. Joining us now is Jeanette Hoffman, president of Marathon Public Affairs and the host of Energy Matters. Jeanette, welcome to our show and congratulations on your new show.
Thanks, Ken. I'm really excited about it. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's great to have you. What inspired you to take on this new role? Because you have enough on your plate, I'm sure. Now you got this new role as host of this the show Energy Matters. And what can viewers expect from the series?
Well, listen, everybody in the Garden State has been talking about energy as an issue. I work in public affairs and media, and the issue just keeps coming up. Whether it's affordability and these skyrocketing energy bills that you just mentioned. Listen, our energy bills have gone up 20% in the past month, thanks to a recent rate increase from the BPU. And then we have all these energy development plans that have been stalled or canceled for whatever reason, whether you're talking about pipelines of natural gas or offshore wind projects. So many issues are happening in the Garden State right now. And we have new leadership coming in 2026. We have a new governor, whoever that may be. They have to tackle all these different issues, and the legislature is working with them. So all these issues are coming to a head. And we thought it would be great, New Jersey Policy Institute is a sponsor, to kind of get people together to talk about these issues and various ways to approach it. So our first show launches tonight. We're super excited about it. We have a bunch of different stakeholders on the show. Senate Republican leader Tony Bucco, who's talked about the energy master plan for quite some time. We have Trenton Council President Yasminelli Gonzalez, who talks about how energy issues impact cities and lower income people differently. And then we have someone from the African American Chamber of Commerce, Dr. Denise Anderson, and of course, Rosemary Becchi, who was just on your show, who's the president and founder of New Jersey Policy Institute. So it's, a really diverse group of people, and each show will be just like that, a bunch of diverse opinions talking about all these energy issues and how they affect New Jersey families and your bottom line, because it does affect your bottom line. It affects how much you pay for groceries, how much you pay for gas, our total economy, everything in your day-to-day life.
Yeah, we've had Dr. Anderson on before as well, and people forget that when you have something like transportation costs or electric costs, that impacts the amount of money you spend when you go to the grocery store. That impacts the amount of money you spend when you order something even online from a regional Amazon district. I mean, energy, this is why President Trump was so big on getting the cost of gas down, because everybody is impacted by the cost of energy, from turning on your light to powering your electric car. But it's not just that. I mean, we have electric heaters, we have everything. Electricity is part of everything, including where we shop and what we buy. So it impacts the bottom line for every single person in New Jersey. We had the 20% rate hike this year. We had a 20% rate hike last year, for those who forgot. 2 in a row. Down here, I'm just temporarily in the state of Florida. We haven't had I don't want to jinx it. We haven't had an energy price hike in 7 years. Why is that? We don't have brownouts. We don't have blackouts. Why is it that Florida can do it right for less money, but New Jersey always seems to have problems?
Yeah, and that's an issue we're going to talk about. And, one of the things that Senate Republican leader Tony Bucco talks about is the current governor's energy master plan and its reliance upon energy sources like offshore wind and solar, and not enough on natural gas. And therefore, the supply and demand effect, right? We don't have enough supply going to the grid of natural gas because the governor canceled a lot of projects like the South Jersey pipeline and nuclear projects and things like that. So we don't have enough secure, reliable, and affordable energy solutions, energy sources in New Jersey. So that's one of the issues that we're going to get into. And then another thing, Ken, that we talk about with energy is national security, right? Everything that's going on in the Middle East. Are we relying on secure, affordable domestic energy sources here in America versus relying upon foreign sources of oil? So that's another thing we'll get into. There's just so many things to talk about, and I'm really excited about this show because we're going to dive into all of them.
And I think it's perfect time, especially as we are looking at a potential transition in new leadership for 2026. Hopefully, this is just my opinion, hopefully to the right. But it's just because the right tends to be a little different in terms of energy policies. It's an all approach as opposed to a never approach. And many on the left, I know, approach it. I'm not trying to condemn everyone on the left, but they approach it as humans don't deserve to live in a comfortable life. We should basically go back to living with rocks and caves and forget about the modern era. Meanwhile, many of the people who voice that the loudest, they live in comfortable homes with lots of air conditioning, but the rest of us is supposed to keep our air set at 80 in the summer and 50 in the winter. And no, that's just not reality. You mentioned nuclear, and now with the advent of AI, many are saying that nuclear, which we were so terrified to talk about in the 70s and 80s because of we had a couple of disasters, but it was from an older era of nuclear energy that humans had to control. With AI, you could literally have a number of tiny controllable nuclear plants dotting the state, controlling regions as opposed to whole sections of the country. And you don't have to have humans there. You could have AI control it 24/7. And if there's a tiny deviation, AI could shut it down. Humans wouldn't even notice it. So is this something you think that potentially a right-leaning governor would explore more?
Yeah, and this is one of the things that, listen, I'm not going to speak for the Republican nominee, Jack Ciattarelli, or the Democratic nominee for that matter, Mikey Sherrill. They're each going to have their own positions, but we're going to dive into that. Energy abundance is something that we want to talk about too, right? Because if you're going to have an all of the above approach to energy, right, you need to consider things like that. And I think one of the shortcomings of the Murphy administration's energy master plan, as you hear people talk about it, is that it only relied on, green, unrealistic sources that weren't there yet, right? It's kind of like this delay and pray approach that we're going to rely on things that don't exist yet. And then therefore you're going to have a supply and demand problem. And if you hear in the show tonight, Tony Bucco, the Senate Republican leader, talk about, we're actually buying coal from West Virginia to supply our energy grid right now, which we know is not as clean as other sources, such as nuclear, the small cell reactor, things that you talked about, and natural gas. So that's a huge problem, right? And then you also have to talk about the electric mandates that the governor wanted to pass. And electrification of buildings is very expensive versus using gas to cook your food and gas to heat your homes, and EV mandates, right? The governor wanted electrification of all cars by 2035. President Trump canceled all EV mandates for the states. Congress passed it. He signed that bill. So that's going to make things a lot more affordable, folks. But what do the gubernatorial candidates say about that? I know Jack Ciattarelli said he's not going to do that, but Mikey Sherrill, the Democratic nominee, she voted against that bill in Congress. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the two major candidates for governor have in their proposals, because energy, I think, is going to be a top 3 issue in this gubernatorial race.
Yeah, and people have to be realistic and not be pie in the sky. Green energy, the way it is envisioned right now just doesn't do it. In fact, we just had a story today. A truck, I don't know if you saw this, a truck driving one of the giant turbine blades got into an accident. The turbine blade went flying off the truck and crushed a car. And I mean, there is a lot to the wind turbines. It kills hundreds of thousands of migratory birds every year. It's an ugly blight on the landscape or offshore. There are issues, and people who claim to be pro-environment, they don't seem to have a problem with, it takes several thousand gallons of oil to keep one turbine running for an entire year. Well, that's fossil fuel. So you're still using fossil fuel. That's a whole other. Have me on your show sometime. I'll be the whiner off to the right that the left is going to hate. The show is called Energy Matters.
The voice of reason.
Anytime. Hey, I hang around the house all at night. I'm wearing my flip flops and a t-shirt. I'll look lovely at 6 o'clock. The show is called Energy Matters. It premieres tonight, 6 p.m. right here on New Jersey. The right person to host it, Jeanette Hoffman. I can't wait to watch. Tonight, 6 p.m. is the premiere. Thank you for coming on. God bless you and all the best with the new show.
Thanks so much, Ken. I really appreciate it.
You bet, Jeanette. Have a good one. It is now 8:17. When we come back, he lost his son in a tragic accident, but he turned the tragedy into a powerful legacy. You will not want to miss this story of this incredible Newark man. It is 8:17 right now, and we have partly cloudy skies this morning. Afternoon showers or thunderstorms. Some could be severe. Highs about 90. The full Garden State forecast in just a moment. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. We'll be right back. Eight 18, welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for your Tuesday. Partly cloudy this morning, afternoon showers and thunderstorms, some severe, highs around 90, 74 right now in Trenton. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast. Good morning to you, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. We start off our day very warm and very humid. You feel that humidity sticking to you as soon as you step outside. And temperatures today with a little bit of sunshine in the morning, quickly warming into the low 90s. But there are some thunderstorms on the way, some of which could be severe, arriving shortly after the lunchtime hour, even through Point Pleasant and Toms River. Your highs today reach the low 90s. With the southerly winds, though, it gets pretty breezy this afternoon as that wind comes in off of the water and from the south, not necessarily cooling you down at the beaches, just helping to energize that front as it moves through later today. So here are some of the storms that came through last night. More are on the way with a lot of unstable atmosphere headed into our direction. But this is the main line of storms. Here's the front that's drawn in the clouds. That arrives later on this afternoon into the dinner hour and could give us some of that severe weather with especially high wind gusts in excess of 58 miles per hour. Have a very high level of UV today. That's up at a 9. Still need the sunscreen because there will be a decent amount of sun for the first part of the day. And then as we head into this evening, notice all of these clouds and showers from the overnight. They return again with another round of rain into the later on this afternoon. So as we head into this evening, the dew points or the temperature where they are saturated, very humid, very warm, and that high humidity lingers into early tomorrow morning. Have to wait till tomorrow evening, at least for the first numbers to drop and that drier weather to move in across northern New Jersey. It finally takes over across the rest of the state by Thursday, and then you have those temperatures in the 50s, which feel much more refreshing throughout the day on Friday. So comfortable weather on the way. It just takes a few days to clear out all of that muggy weather. There's that wind from the south really driving up temperatures to 93 in Toms River. A little bit cooler out on the barrier islands like LBI, only getting to 77 today because of that wind. That again helps to fuel those storms that push through later on today into this evening, some of which with the heavy downpours, thunder and lightning, even in through tomorrow morning. It all clears out by later tomorrow morning into the early afternoon. We get some breaks of sun by the afternoon, and we're back to sunshine, maybe a few lingering showers down the shore by the end of the day. But otherwise, looks great for Thursday, plenty of clear weather, and Friday is the cherry on top with lots of sun and low humidity, and temperatures still managed to make it into the 80s, so it'll look fantastic. There's your Friday Futurecast showing clear sky in the morning, temperatures in the upper 50s, that sunrise, climbing into the low 80s by the afternoon. Comfortable and sunny, and that is a nice way to kick off the holiday weekend with some very pleasant weather as well going into Saturday and Sunday. So here's the long-range Futurecast, taking you into Saturday. A few extra clouds around, but not overcast. I still think we get a fair amount of sun even through Sunday. The humidity works back in, though, and that could spark off a few late-day showers by Monday and Tuesday of next week. So overall, looking great for this weekend, and we hold the rain off a few more days until next week. The weekend weather looking hot by Sunday, back in the low 90s with the humidity returning and that southwesterly breeze pushing in more of that heat and humidity. We've got the 7-day forecast coming up for you. We'll let you know what to expect next week for the first full week of July. Let you know if it feels like July should. That's coming up in your next weather update.
All right. Love that. Thank you very much, sir. 8:22 is our time. Taking a look at the roadways. We have a disabled truck right now. Remember where we had all the road buckling last week from the intense heat? Well, in that same vicinity, I'm guessing just a coincidence, we have a disabled truck on I-287 southbound by exit 35, which is Route 124 in Morristown. The right lane of the two lanes closed through that area. We have emergency construction on McClester Street northbound approaching Lyle King Street in Elizabeth, the left lane closed. Roving repairs Route 73 southbound from Jackson Road in Berlin to Central Avenue in Winslow. The right lane and right shoulder are closed. The Lincoln Tunnel is a 30-minute crossover. Holland is 25, and the GWB upper and lower levels 80-95 approach. Moving better than they were half an hour ago. We're now told it's 35 to 40 minutes. Not that bad a ride as you make your way into Manhattan. 8:23, and Gary Gelman, who we've had on before, phenomenal, renowned photographer, owner of Gelman Images in Freehold, known for his stunning work. Gary recently returned from an extraordinary trip to the Vatican, where he had the extremely rare opportunity to photograph the newly elected Pope Leo XIV. Let's join with him right now. Gary Gelman, good morning. Thanks for being back on with us. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me back on. You know, I'm like your papal connection now between Pope Francis and Pope Leo. I don't know. Maybe we should go on the road or something. I don't know.
Well, listen,
It was.
I used to be a priest, and I've never met a pope face to face like you. So I was a Catholic priest. So I need you as my hookup, buddy. Definitely. You have photographed so many high profile figures, including we mentioned Pope Francis in the past, and now Pope Leo. How did it feel to return to the Vatican and capture images of Pope Leo the 14th, the first American pope, being able to speak English with him?
Well, it's interesting. This was actually the first time I was at the Vatican. A friend of mine, Ray McKenna, who runs Catholic Athletes for Christ, was invited to go to the Jubilee Day Sport. And at the Vatican, they have jubilees for all different things: youth, sports, priests, laity. So they had Jubilee Day Sport. So he was invited to go as the executive director of Catholic Athletes for Christ, and he wasn't able to go. I said, Ray, is it possible I could sit in for you and represent Catholic Athletes for Christ? They actually arrange for priests to serve mass to athletes all across the country. Anyway, he's like, well, let me find out. So essentially, I was invited to go with the U.S. contingent that include individuals from Georgia, Florida, different part of Ohio. And we were a part of a convention of sorts that brought together athletes from around the world. If you saw me, you knew I wasn't an athlete, but a photographer in that. There was a private audience as well as a mass 2 weekends ago, both on a Friday and a Saturday.
That's amazing. Walk us through the moment you first looked through that lens and saw Pope Leo the 14th. What was it like for you?
Well, even leading up to that, when we got there, we weren't really sure what was going to happen. I went with my daughter, and we got there around 7 a.m, and we were just guided by the staff. Okay, do this, do that. There are thousands of people there. So essentially, we thought we were going to be on the outside of the Basilica of St. Peter's, and they kept pushing us forward till we were up right in front of the altar, which was strangely odd because it's not a place I thought I would be, even though I had wonderful credentials. To be at the front of the altar at St. Peter's was unbelievable. So for the audience that Saturday morning, we were only in the country for about 2 hours before the Pope walked down the aisle for the private audience. And essentially, he was greeting all of the pilgrims throughout the world who came to celebrate the weekend for the Jubilee. So it was exciting because I knew he was one of us. He was from the U.S., the first U.S. elected pope. He seemed kind and nice. I think, and you can correct me, I think he's the first baby boomer pope. So it was kind of nice to see someone who wasn't too far from my age who is leading the Catholic Church. It was exciting. I felt that he was one of us. He was so kind to everyone around him. And even during the weekend that we were together, I spent time with some of the individuals that work with him regularly. And he's a strict pope. We think because he's from the U.S., he may be a little cool, but he is strict. I understand he doesn't like selfies, which I didn't attempt to take a selfie, but I was within a few feet of him and made no effort to do that. It was an exciting time, that's for sure.
Yeah, he, by the way, I got all excited because a few weeks ago, I saw his brother on Facebook, he has an older and a younger brother. His older brother was on Facebook, and I did a friend request and he accepted. So that's my connection to the Pope is I am Facebook friends with his brother. And I just sent him a message yesterday. I haven't gotten a response yet. We'll see if I get one back. I'll let you know. Now, you have been praised, and rightfully so, with your ability to capture candid and powerful moments, as we saw with your work you did with Pope Francis the last time we had you on. Were there any standout moments with Pope Leo the 14th that felt specifically special, if you will, or unique to photographs? Is it just because he was a boomer and an American, or what was it for you?
Well, for me, it was really the Swiss Guard. Before the Mass began on Sunday, I was taking pictures like I would normally do at any event, and the Swiss Guard approached me and said, "You need to find a seat quickly." So that was the first thing that you don't normally find in the U.S., especially at a Mass, even with bishops. Most are more cooler than the Swiss Guard, but they were very serious about it. Being with the Pope and covering this, I knew that it was another once-in-a-lifetime event. I thought when I photographed Pope Leo that was the once-in-a-lifetime. Well, this is the second once-in-a-lifetime. To be honored and privileged to be in his presence, to get his blessing, to be blessed by all of those other Catholic leaders that were there was truly an honor. And being with the U.S. contingent, to know that the U.S. was represented, was in his corner, on his side for the Jubilee. And that was actually his first Jubilee. And even in the beginning, they weren't even sure if he was going to celebrate it because he was just, obviously, as you know, newly ordained. So not newly ordained, but newly placed as the Pope. elected,
Newly
I should say.
installed. Newly installed.
Installed. There you go. So
Right.
for us, we weren't really sure who was going to preside, but we were blessed to have him both days right up front. And it was a beautiful time.
Yeah, and by the way, a lot of people don't realize this is only from my previous experiences there as a priest. The Swiss Guard is not just ceremonial. Those blades are real. Not that they would chop your head off, but they also carry weapons. A lot of them don't realize, a lot of people don't realize they're actually trained military from Switzerland. And the reason why it's the Swiss Guard is because the Papal States had issues with Italy hundreds of years ago. And so Switzerland came in to protect the Papal States from the surrounding Italian duchies and whatnot. That's why the Swiss came in as the neutral third party. Now, of course, Italy and Vatican City is still its own country. But that's where the history of that, had to throw that in. So now, Gelman Images, you have a reputation for, definitely, you have a reputation for professionalism and creativity. You've shot all sorts of popular topics over 30 years in the business. So how do you prepare for that kind of an assignment? Because it's not photographing butterflies or even the mayor of a town. This is a person who is known by everybody on the planet. So what's that like?
For me, it's making sure I had all of my equipment. Now, I don't leave the country that much, but for this, I brought an assistant who was my daughter. So she assisted me with all of my equipment and cameras and batteries and that sort of thing. I had to bring the longest lens possible because although I was in the front of the altar at St. Peter's, I wasn't very close to the altar. It's a huge facility. So essentially just having all of our equipment prepped both days and making sure everything worked properly was really the key. Being dressed properly as well. I mean, they do monitor what people wear. And actually, we were at another church in Italy where they actually removed someone from the church because she wasn't dressed appropriately. So just being dressed, really being prepared as we were always taught growing up is really how I prepared for this. Making sure my images got out to those who were involved very quickly, because actually I was closer to the Pope than the media was. So for me, it was an honor to be in the place that I was with the people that I were with, and a true honor. I'm the official photographer for the New Jersey Hall of Fame. So we do, as you mentioned, cover a lot of great individuals throughout the U.S., but covering the Pope at the Vatican was probably another top feat for us here at Gelman Images and me personally.
Yeah, you're right about the way you're dressed, especially now with July here and August. Those are the key travel months. If you're going to visit a place like the Vatican or other major religious sites, any faith, Islam, Jewish, just at least most of them at least require long pants. Even though it's 90 degrees, don't wear shorts. I was at Sagrada Familia, which is in Barcelona, a few years ago. And they allow you in the main part of the church, but they won't let you in where they're celebrating mass if you're in shorts. And I said to the guy, I said in Spanish, soy sacerdote, I'm a priest. And he looked at me, and you know what he said to me? He says, then you should know better not to wear shorts in church. I got my hand slapped, and he was right. I didn't want to argue. I said, you know what? Tienes razón. I said, you're right. So I had to watch from afar, but it is what it is.
I got another funny behind the scenes. Sure. I got a really quick one. I had dinner with the priest who wrote the Pope's speech, and he was sort of giving us some behind the scenes of what it's like to be a priest at the Vatican. And he said that the Pope has mentioned to priests that if they decide to take their camera out during Mass or any time during the ceremony, the Swiss Guard are required to pull them out of the church, have them unrobe, and go sit with the audience, because he won't allow that. So they're serious, both on the papal side and also on the Swiss Guard side. They're very serious there. So we respect.
I get it, because if you're a worshiper and you see a priest acting giddy and in fully vested and pulling out a phone, it doesn't make the person look very serious about the sacredness of the moment. So but priests are human too. I mean, we're just as excited to be near the Pope. People think, oh, you're a priest, you must know the Pope. No, we don't even, in many cases, we don't even know a cardinal, let alone the Pope. So it is what it is. But we could talk for hours about this. I'm fascinated. We have to talk some other topics other than Pope, because you photographed a lot of famous people. We'll do that the next time. Photographer Gary Gelman, New Jersey's own. We're proud to have you. Thank you for joining us as always this morning. You bet. Have a great day. It is now 74 degrees in Trenton, 8:33. We'll be back in just 30 seconds with New Jersey politics like nobody else can talk about it. New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein will have the inside edge, and we'll have a special New Jersey resident who took tragedy and turned it into something special. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Hoffman, host of Energy Matters. Join me every night at 6 p.m. where we're discussing energy affordability, challenges, and solutions with stakeholders and elected officials. Join me weekdays at 6 p.m. on Energy Matters on ONNJ.
And welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for your Tuesday. It is 8:34 right now, 74 degrees in Trenton, partly cloudy this morning, afternoon showers or thunderstorms. Some could be severe, highs around 90. Meteorologist Mike Favetta now with the full Garden State forecast for you. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, Ken, good morning. We have plenty of cloud cover and humidity on the way for today, but just enough sunshine to help that front that moves in this afternoon kick off some storms, some of which may be severe by this afternoon. Could see some minor flooding on the roadways through the evening rush, and then with those gusty winds taking over this evening, watch out for some downed trees and power lines. Certainly possible given the intensity of these isolated storms. Good news is it all clears out for tonight, and we turn to dry and sunny weather as soon as tomorrow. Satellite picture early this morning showing the clouds lingering across the skies and giving us that threat of a flood watch. There's plenty of moisture in the air to allow for that flooding potential, minor flooding across roadways. This purple that you see here out towards the coast, that's a small craft advisory for some very gusty winds through this afternoon. So be mindful of that headed to the beaches today. You may have stuff blowing around on the sand, especially with that southerly breeze up to 35 miles per hour. It gets quite gusty out toward Ocean City and even by Avalon as temperatures climb into the upper 80s for you. West of the Parkway, it gets hot. We're in the low 90s with that warm weather around. Not nearly as hot as it was in 1963. We're not breaking any temperature records today. However, it does turn cooler by the time we get to Friday. So that 52 low may come close, especially in places like Newark. We'll get to that in just a bit. Sunset time at 8:32. Here are some showers from last night showing up. They're exiting east. Most of the rain today, however, is forecast for this afternoon. So if you plan to head out toward the water, you'll get a good, decent morning and midday in water temperatures in Cape May. Nice and warm at 76 degrees. Same for you in Sandy Hook. And the beach forecast looks hot and humid. Again, the threat of storms later on this afternoon. So plenty of beach time until we get to later on in the day. And the rip current risk is moderate for the Jersey Shore beaches just because of that very gusty wind helping to promote those rip currents today. As far as this afternoon, the severe threat is a level 2 on the scale. It goes from 1 to 5. So we're up in that yellow area for slight risk of severe weather. And the primary threat of that is wind. About a 15% chance of those strong gusty winds anywhere within 50 miles of a point. That's the definition that the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma gives for those severe wind gusts. That due to the front. You see it drawn here in the sky. That pushes through this afternoon with it some clouds and some showers and storms. By later on in the morning tomorrow, notice how it kind of lingers across central New Jersey. So it doesn't quite clear out across the beaches until later tomorrow afternoon. So you may actually have some rain and showers around for the first part of tomorrow morning. Clears out by the end of the day, and we've got some beautiful weather returning throughout our day on Saturday into Sunday. The forecast for the 4th looks magnificent. High temperatures climbing well into the 80s, 88 degrees on the 3rd, 84 and sunny. Beautiful weather for Independence Day, and then we bring back a little bit of cloud cover and humidity by Saturday and Sunday. So the muggy weather works back in, and yet again, we're in the low 90s starting off next week. As far as the storms today, they clear out by the end of the day tomorrow. A little bit longer. They linger for a little bit longer down toward the shore for tomorrow afternoon. But Thursday looks beautiful, 89 as the high. It's going to be warm again, warmer for you down the shore. On Friday for Independence Day, Saturday and Sunday clearing out, and beautiful weather on the way into the weekend and next week. We've got another check of your forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
All right. Very, very good, Mike. Thank you very much, sir. 8:38 is our time. We have 74 degrees in Trenton. Let's take a look at this if we can. This is the New Jersey Turnpike, Newark Bay Extension, mile marker 0.0, the Hudson County Extension, interchange 14, number 2. Very specific, right? So that, what you're looking at, you see the massive trucks and other vehicles there toward the upper right of your screen. They're trying to get off to the area by Newark Airport. So you can see that is where we have a little bit of a delay at this hour. And I think that's because a lot of people are still getting out of Dodge. This is a holiday week and a lot of people are catching flights. And if you think it's bad right now, 24 hours from now, Wednesday, you're going to start to see this. I think this shot, you won't even see those vehicles on closer to you moving. I think it's going to be bumper to bumper the whole way. But at least that's what you see right now happening. That is just what it is, the nature of the beast, as we say. Other roadways to look out for right now, we have the Raritan Toll Plaza at exit 117 Sandy Hook on the GSP. We have about 3 miles of delays. That's just volume, people going to the beach at this point, even at this early hour. We have a disabled bus on 287 northbound by exit 6, which is Washington Avenue, Piscataway. The right shoulder is closed. Emergency construction, North Bridge Street by the westbound ramp to Carson Road in Newark. The left lane is closed. And we have a crash on the Turnpike I-95 express lanes northbound by exit 72A, Route 4 in Fort Lee with the right lane blocked. Emergency construction on McLester Street northbound approaching Lyle King Street in Elizabeth with the left lane closed. Our time is 8:40 right now. There's politics, then there's New Jersey politics. Trenton is a whole different animal. New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein has the inside edge.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Inside Edge. Today is Tuesday, July 1st, and there was no hoopla after the approval of a $59 billion state budget yesterday. The Senate got on the road fairly early. The Assembly wasn't that far behind. No stopping of the clock. Governor Murphy signed his 8th and final budget of his governorship at 11:42 p.m. He did so privately. No public bill signing, no victory lap, no photos, and quite frankly, probably not feeling a whole lot of pressure. And don't read too much into the signing coming 18 minutes before the deadline. The counsel's office has a lot of work to do once the document is formally transmitted to the governor. There was never going to be a shutdown, and even if there was, who's going to notice? After Christopher on the beach, the legislature completely watered down the immediate effects of a budget shutdown, of a state government shutdown. The beaches, the parks, the casinos, they're all open anyway. Budget season in Jersey can be an exhausting time. It's a jam-packed 4 months. One certainty at budget time is it's always hurry up and wait, always has been, always will be. Things are a little bit better now, a little bit more transparent. The legislature no longer votes immediately after the budget committee approves it. Now they wait a day or two. Baby steps is progress. And an election year always offers an extra dimension. So I'll give you, a little bit of trivia to put something into perspective. It's been 34 years since a 2-term governor completed the final budget of their time in office in a year when the state Senate wasn't on the ballot. That changes the stakes in a budget, and that year was 1989. The governorship, by the way, it flipped parties. So did control of the state assembly. Republicans lost them both. A few observations. Leadership didn't give any passes on this budget. All the Democrats, except for D'Angelo, and he didn't get a pass, but all the Democrats voted yes. And there's some vulnerable incumbents who might own this budget if Republicans are able to assign responsibility to them and make spending a campaigned issue, and if voters will ever really know that it's happening. Uh, the CWA and some progressives left unhappy. Let's see if that causes anybody to stay home in November. The Democratic candidate for governor, Mikey Sherrill, wouldn't say if she'd sign the budget or veto it. It's not her budget, but it is the budget of the Assembly Democrats she's running with. And we'll see if Jack Ciattarelli tries to pin the blame on her anyway. And we'll also see if Cheryl's new strategy, she called Ciattarelli a Trenton insider who voted to raise taxes, sort of what Bill Spadea called them in the primaries. We'll see if that works. Anyway, that's it for today, everybody, and I'll be back tomorrow.
All right. Thank you very much. It is good to have you on, sir. 8:44 is our time. When we come back, a man who inspires us all. He turned tragedy into something somewhat triumphant in honor of a loved one lost. It is currently 74 degrees. We have clouds this morning, partly cloudy skies at least. It's going to become cloudier later with a chance of showers or even potentially severe thunderstorms. Just be ready for that. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings, and we'll be back in 30 seconds. And welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for your Tuesday. It is 8:45 right now, 74 degrees, partly cloudy this morning, afternoon showers or thunderstorms. Some could be severe, highs around 90. Let's take a moment, if we could. Pam, do you mind bringing up Beach Cam one last time for the morning? So we're down in the Southern Command in Fort Lauderdale, and that's what it looks like as you look east from anywhere up and down Florida's 500 miles of 440 miles of coast, from the Keys all the way up to Jacksonville. That's what we look at in the morning as you head east or look east. So just remember that next time you say it's so hot in Florida in the summertime, it's actually cooler here than it is in New Jersey. At least it will be during the course of the day. So just rubbing it in a little bit. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the full Garden State forecast. Let's find out what it's going to be like in New Jersey. Good morning to you, Mike.
Hey, Ken, good morning. We have plenty of cloud cover and storms on the way for later this afternoon. We get a little bit of sunshine before then, helping temperatures climb to 91 over in Newark, 91 in Jersey City. Pretty uniform here in the northeastern corner of the state with all of that heat, haze, and humidity yet again. Lower air quality as well as we wait for that front to push on through, helping to drop our temperatures into the 80s. And then the 70s later on tonight. So relief from the heat and humidity is on the way. It just takes some time. As far as the air quality today, currently numbers are low, but they get back above that 50 number, which is where we go from good to moderate. And you see right there, primarily along the industrialized portion of the state, right across the turnpike, you see those numbers a little bit higher at the moderate level. As far as air quality overall across the state, it will improve by this time tomorrow back to the good level, thanks to all of the clearing that'll take place and a nice northwesterly breeze helping as well. Through the middle of July, we have average levels of heat and humidity returning. Most of the southeast and especially the Pacific Northwest gets to higher levels of hot weather. As far as our rain chances, will be slightly above going through the next 2 weeks. So a little bit wetter and just about average heat expected beyond the 7-day forecast. As far as this weekend for the holiday, temperatures climb to 88 with sunshine all day long on Thursday and less humidity by Friday. Friday's going to be a gem with gorgeous weather around, zero chance of rain, and that lovely dry condition with less humidity taking us to start off the weekend. Now, Saturday and Sunday sees the humidity slowly return, especially as we get into the end of the weekend, Sunday, Monday timeframe. Might even spark off a late day shower or storm by Monday afternoon. And that's also the case down the shore for Tuesday. But as far as this week, you'll see a slower improvement toward the shore. And that's due to the fronts not really clearing out until later in the day tomorrow. So it takes some time for the sun to return down the shore by tomorrow afternoon. And again, if you head north, you've got sunshine starting late tomorrow morning. Thursday and Friday, both a pair of beautiful days. Slightly cooler Friday with that reinforcing shot of dry weather. Independence Day looks gorgeous. And then Saturday and Sunday sees highs climb into the upper 80s with humidity slowly building back in as highs will climb to just above their average July temperatures for the first full week of July. But overall, pretty fantastic weather for the holiday this week down the shore. We've got another check of your forecast coming up in just a bit.
All right, Mike, thank you very much, sir. 77 degrees now in Trenton, 8:48 is our time. Take a look at the traffic we have. We have an issue right now on I-287, a disabled bus. This is I-287 northbound at exit 6, which is Washington Avenue, Piscataway Township. The right shoulder is closed, and look at the result. You have a lot of volume because of that right now. We have a emergency construction on North Bridge Street, westbound ramp to Carson Road in Newark with the left lane closed. And we have a crash on the Turnpike, I-95 express lanes northbound at exit 72A, Route 4 in Fort Lee with the right lane blocked. That was that southbound mess that we showed you on I-95 a little while ago, about half an hour ago. Southbound lanes, south/west as you go toward 80. Bumper to bumper as a result. Let's take a look at the approach to the GWB because that's not so good right now. We have a crash on the GWB. See the stop traffic there on the right? That's the upper level. So there is now a crash, we understand, as you make your way just beyond that point, causing all those delays. Lower level is your better bet there on the left-hand side. So now you got about a 45-minute crossover time on the GWB. On the lower level, it's about 55 on the upper. Your Lincoln Tunnel crossing is about 30 minutes and the Holland is 25 minutes. An inspiring story of resilience, love, and purpose in honor of Men's Health Month. We're spotlighting Ezequiel Garcia, a 79-year-old Newark man who's turning personal tragedy into a powerful legacy. After losing his son Reynaldo in a tragic accident, Ezequiel found healing through marathon running and advocacy for organ and tissue donation with New Jersey Sharing Network, completing nearly 100 races. Ezequiel is joining us on the phone right now. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good morning.
You bet. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Ezequiel, your story is so remarkable. Take us back to the year 2011, such a tragic time. Share how the loss of your son, Reynaldo, led you to start running and advocating for organ and tissue donation.
Well, on September 11, 2011, I had a trip to Puerto Rico, where I'm from. And then I arrived early, and like at 1 o'clock in the morning, my son woke me up, calling me about telling me that Reynaldo had an accident. I was half asleep and half awake, so I did not ask him how was he doing. And then I called back my son Ezequiel, and then he said, "Pops, he didn't make it," and that changed my life completely.
So what did happen? How did he pass?
He had a motorcycle, and then he was having some fun with some of his friends. And then it was like maybe it was a night. I don't know. I don't recall the exact hour, but he was driving with his friends, and then he hit a bump on the road, and then he lost control, and he bumped into a tree, and he hit his head, and he died instantly.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I can't even envision as a dad having to get that news.
Yes.
The son that you love. God bless you, and God rest his soul. And so you decided to take that tragedy and turn it into something positive. You began running. A lot of people run at the age of 18. You began at age 67 with ONNJ Sharing Network's 5K celebration of life. So what was it like to take that first step? It's a big deal. And how has running helped you cope with all your grief?
Well, that was really something that I never thought of But then when I found out that he became an organ donor, because I was not at home when that happened, we're trying to find a way to honor his memory, and we couldn't find really nothing. And then we remember that New Jersey Sharing was the organization that invited us to donate his organs. So we made a visit to the place, and I told my wife, we don't have to look any other place. This is the place. We have to, get active with this organization. And but my surprise, they had a 5K. I never heard of any 5K because I never run one. But then I ran for the first time in his honor. I think it was in 2013, I believe, that I ran the first 5K. And then I became every year running. But then I was invited by, this organization that have other races. I was invited to a half marathon. Never heard of half marathon, but it says if I can do a 5K, I can do a half marathon, which I did, and the rest is history. I've been involved in many, many, many races, different distances, including 8 full marathons. That changed my life
crazy.
Because this is the way. I'm sorry.
That's insane. No, I'm dumbfounded. You did 8 full marathons. That is grueling. And you've done a total of nearly 100 races, often placing first in your age group. So what keeps you motivated to push your physical limits at 79? And do you feel Reynaldo's presence when you're running? Do you feel he's with you?
Definitely. Every time I run, I just tell him, this is on you. And then I just start, and then I don't stop until I get to the end. And yes, that's been changed my life, because I'm still very healthy. I don't have any illnesses, and I think the main reason is because I've been so active honoring my son, and I will try to do that until I can.
Wow. So his passing made you literally get in better shape for yourself and probably live a longer life in honor and memory of your son. That's an amazing thing.
Yes.
So you're a proud member of the Hispanic community. You said you're from Puerto Rico. Yo puedo hablar español también. Mi madre viene de Argentina. You and your wife, Iris, are passionate about educating people about organ and tissue donation. God bless you for that. What are some of the myths that you encounter from people who don't understand about organ donation, and how do you address that and build trust with them?
Well, the biggest myth is that a lot of people have said that if I try to they try to take my organs, they're gonna kill me. This is one of the biggest myths. So people are reluctant because it says, they're gonna let me die because they want to donate the organs, and this is completely a myth. Other people are they have see something. It's like a curse if you donate your organs, and other people just don't care. It's just the reality. People don't really understand the beauty of organ donation, so they don't care. And we have been giving a lot of workshops about the need to organs, and sometimes people don't really care about it.
Well, they should. Everyone needs to think about it. You could sign on. Most driver's licenses allow you to do that, or you can go online and fill out a quick form to be an organ donor. And if you lose your physical life, there's nothing more. What more of a waste than letting all your organs go when you could save somebody else's life and live on in somebody else? So it's just a beautiful parting gift. And as we got about 30 seconds left, with nearly 4,000 people in New Jersey waiting for a life-saving organ transplant, give a message. If you could just say something right now to people out there who have not registered as an organ and tissue donor, what would you say?
Well, that it will be the best thing that you can do after you die, if somebody else can benefit of your organ. I have we had a very early experience that we love is when, the first communication that we have from one of donations, one of the corneas that my son donated, was a letter from a lady that said, thank you for your donation, because your son's cornea allowed me to see my son for the first time. This person that was blind. So, and I keep that as a treasure, because that gave me so much comfort knowing that those corneas, beautiful eyes that my son had, are somehow living in somebody else. So don't hesitate to donate it again.
What a beautiful legacy. Oh, God bless you and your family, and God rest your son's soul, Reynaldo. Ezequiel Garcia, you are an inspiration to everybody. We'd love to have you on again. Thank you for coming on this morning and sharing this beautiful story with us this morning, turning tragedy into something beautiful. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much for my invitation. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias a usted también, a su familia también. Have a great day. Thank you. And that does it for this edition of On New Jersey Mornings. What a beautiful story and what a beautiful family. Mike Favetta says, partly cloudy this morning, showers or thunderstorms today. Be prepared for that, highs around 90. We'll see you again tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. right here on New Jersey Mornings. Take care.